Now, it should be noted that I wanted to start today's episode by immediately throwing these guys directly into the fire. I have chosen not to do that because even though it would be funny to me, it would not be fair to the effort that these fellas have put into this. James, hey, thanks for that resub. Perfectly timed for when the overlay cleared. This is, of course, Warhammer 40K Imperium Maledictum Iron Archipelago, Episode 9. I'm told by my cast this could be the last episode based on what might happen here. James assumes that these two guys are going to be dead by the end of the episode, and he will be setting the station on fire in holy revenge. So, just to ease us into the episode, I want to talk about some of the things that happened at the end of the last episode, and then cue up what's about to happen. So, James, I have consulted with a Warhammer 40K podcaster, an elder lore legend. You may know him as Lord Hunger. He has convinced me empirically that had you applied all of the bonuses you had to the last roll correctly, you would have not only succeeded, but you would have succeeded with at least a plus 10 or more. So I am perfectly fine, A-OK, in no uncertain terms. It actually doesn't matter to me whether that roll succeeds or not, just to be very clear. It will make a great difference in the way the story goes, but I have no horse in that race. So whichever way you would like it to go, whether that roll succeeded and we very slight retcon, which will allow me to introduce another faction that we haven't seen in a little bit, but has historically been in most of the Warhammer 40K shows that I run, or we can have what happened. That's your choice. No, and you don't need to make, listen, don't say anything. Shh, don't say anything. You don't have to make that decision now. You get to make it after Kain and Omar do whatever they're going to do, because that may influence your way of thinking. You may decide that you actually do want the church on your side based on what's about to happen. I'm not sure. I honestly, they have prepared a speech, which I think is a good plan. I have no idea what is in it. So, let's talk about what's on the table. You've just finished a basketball game, which you have won against the team, the Savage Lurists. You completely dominated them. It was not even close. You are now set in 1 week to face down with the Garage Band. As the two of you are led away, a half dozen people in the trading company's employ are toweling you off. They are tearing your jerseys off, applying powders, applying makeups to you. The servo skull that always follows you around is casting a little bit of extra light onto you. You can smell the smell of blood coming towards you. You're not really sure where you're going as you are led to a sort of little emergency escape dock to like a very large life pod shuttle that looks to be non-imperial in make. And you can see that it has some sort of like cordage attachment, like iron chains, that binds it to the station. Inside this sort of egg-shaped pod shuttle, you can see that there is some real serious fucking heresy going down. Liturgical is surrounded by chained up psychers. There are two of them on either side of him. They have blood sigils on them, and there is blood on the ground, which make some very freaky, very obviously warp sigils that probably, if this was done in Imperial territory, an Inquisitor would absolutely murder Liturgical, which is probably why he's in an escape pod that's about to blast away from the station, so that you aren't actually in Imperial territory when it happens. In the thinnest rogue trader bullshit. To the audience, I'll say this. I have tried to find, unsuccessfully, any other indication of point-to-point live communication between two groups of people. The only canonical example I have managed to find is from Warhammer 40K Demon Gate Chaos Hunters, which is between the Supreme Chapter Master and a set of very powerful Grey Knights, which is what I'm basing this ritual on. Only extremely powerful psychers with great aid and strong minds are capable of performing this event, which is why the two psychers that are chained to the wall here are going to die in the process, because liturgical is no Grey Knight. And the person receiving this message, at the other hand, though they might be a Primaris Marine librarian, are also no Grey Knight. People will die for you to have a 5-minute conversation about how you want to fire your boss. So let's just hope it's worth it. I have my phone timer. You will have 5 very real minutes to discuss. I have 4 points of conversation that, if you hit those points of conversation, will either grant your side a boon or disable or in some way stop the opposed roll from Sector Lord Aulus Sejanus. These are optional. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but if you accomplish them, you will receive boons, essentially, for the upcoming roll. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns before we get started?
I want to be clear. We are going with the original plan that Kain and I had concocted. And then the rolling specific.
He's going to decide if your part is impactful enough to justify a bending of the rules, and if it's not, I will spend a fate to desperately ward off execution.
Yes. So by the rules, the Velamris must be the primary skill person here. They're trying to get a free advantage by working together, and they can only do that if Rassie, who has advances in rapport, helps Velamris rather than the other way around. So Velamris must provide something significant to this conversation to allow the better character to roll with advantage, the better of the two of them, which I believe is still going to end up being Rassie. We are slightly wibbly-wobbly bending the rules because this is such an incredibly important role. Anything else?
I think I'm good.
You have your thing pulled up.
I have it right now.
Okay. You told me to remind you that
you did, and thank you. But I got it right here because when we were talking about having to redo the order and how we did it, I was like, ooh, let me look at this and see what I can piece together really quick.
Velamris, one of the media texts throws a wig on you and finishes dusting your face with a very pale makeup. They do their best to make you seem less nondescript, to make you seem descript. Rassie, someone is busy finishing, putting the final touches on fancifying your very real Imperial Guardsman armor, and has taken one of the Elysian drop troopers, Elysian packs, and is fitting you into it right now so that you can appear to be the full extent of what you actually are. They have, however, sewn an additional patch on your arm beneath your Imperial Guard unit patch to indicate that you are serving as part of the retinue of a rogue trader. So the patch of House Darkwind is beneath and subservient to your patch for your regiment.
Okay.
Liturgical, clearly in pain, begins the ritual. His clothes immediately burst off of his chest, Dragon Ball style, as his head shoots back, and a giant floating head of a Primaris Space Marine appears in this place, which is then replaced moments later with a man extremely imposing. He seems tall, refined. He's wearing a cream set of robes. They've got the ruffles around the neck, a very refined to almost Renaissanceian, like refined to a point beard with a goatee, widow's peak hair, all of it perfectly in place except for like 2 black antenna strands that hang down the front, shoulders perfectly square and level. Every part of his outfit appears gilded and contains all of the accoutrements that one would expect from a planetary governor and a sector governor and a subsector governor. This is a person who was born to be powerful, generationally powerful. And you have a 5-minute conversation. His face hovers to be above you so he can look down at you imperiously down his nose. And he says, speak.
Sector Lord Sejanus, it is a great honor to speak with an accomplished servant of the God Emperor such as yourself. To best reflect this honor and your time, I shall begin immediately. Lord Colonel Renard of the 19th Regiment stationed here at the local Space Hulk is guilty of inappropriate ambitions and corruptions, impairing the interests and capabilities of the local Imperium. If he is permitted to continue to occupy this position, he will surely continue to cross the lines of loyalty to the Imperium of Man and keep working against both the Imperium and yourself personally, actions of a traitor. Lord Colonel Renard has amassed troops, equipment, and capabilities well beyond the forces typical of a man of his responsibility, in excess of 3 regiments worth, demonstrating a belief that his judgment is better than that of his superiors in deciding the responsibilities of his rank and assignments. Lord Colonel Renard committed the theft of supplies and men, conspiring with members of the Administratum to intentionally fraudulently reroute equipment and survivors of other commands, even to the point of intentionally sending an entire regiment to its death solely to acquire a supply chain for his own personal gains. And I motion.
Lord Sector, Administrator Ordinate Barnum Haviler, in order to facilitate the demands and ambitions of Lord Colonel Renard, would regularly assign work tasks with unclear and misleading objectives, complete with unnecessary obstacles, all intended to obfuscate the true purpose of these tasks. After seeing numerous such inconsistencies, I began to investigate and learned that this was the means by which Imperial assets, material, and personnel were fraudulently being redirected to the Lord Colonel's command, all at the expense of other Imperial or sector-level organizations and assets. The intent was to make such actions appear as simple and easily overlooked administrative or accounting errors, when in truth it was nothing less than grand conspiracy and embezzlement. I fear that if he has one senior administrator under the Lord Colonel's sway, that there may be others as well.
Lord Colonel Renard also declared the 143rd Elysian Regiment to be traitors as part of a fraudulent materials acquisition, creating circumstances upon which he could try to deliver the image of a sector lord who gives orders to and utilizes traitor guardsmen, a completely unfounded and profoundly dangerous attack on the character of the sector lord, and trying to push that image through a servant such as our Lord Captain Darkwind for exposure, leaving himself the ability to unjustly murder loyal servants of the Emperor to try and obfuscate the truth of these potential future claims. Additionally, Lord Colonel Renard also attempted to hide a potential gene stealer cult outbreak, and in the process of his deception, attempted to entrap and implicate the Darkwind Trading House for his crimes of permitting a Kentagi to escape him under the threat of executing members of the Darkwind Trading House staff. We servants of the Darkwind Trading House, as staunchly loyal members of the Imperium and supporters of the Sector Lord with the same zeal as our Lord Captain's example dictates, have found these concerns to be of grave concern, not just for the lives lost and the lives branded traitor, not for the Emperor, but for a single man's corruptions and criminal ambitions. But the groundwork of attacks against the good name of the Lord Captain Chaderius Darkwind and the work done to undermine and attack the credibility and perceived loyalty of yourself, Sector Lord Aulus Sejanus.
I assume, given my understanding that there is a Imperial Inquisitorial representative attached to your house, that they can speak on your behalf and confirm your paperwork and suspicions are in order.
If there is an inquisitorial representative attached to the house, I would not be able to confirm it. But if there was one, I would say confidently that our observations and investigations have been observed by them as well.
What are your recommendations of action?
Lord Colonel Renard is a traitor and needs to be removed as such. The lives of those who have been lost and branded traitor restored as the true servants that they were. And the Darkwind Trading House just wishes to see your interest and the interest of the Imperium carried without the harassment of a traitor slowing them down.
And what of Barnum and Hoveler?
It appears that he is also a traitor.
I see. 20 seconds. I'm stopping it here. You don't sound like you have any other arguments to throw down. I'm now going to reveal the various boons that you may or may not have gotten.
The 20 seconds mean one more psycho survived or not?
No, they both died during the process.
I was trying.
And no, if you'd gone the full 5 minutes, liturgical would have died.
Oh shit.
You addressed with appropriate respect between a rogue trader and a sector governor both characters, so that's both of you. You had done so. Neither of you abased yourselves and treated the rogue trader as being less than the sector governor, but nor did you speak down to the sector governor. And so the sector governor will not be allowed to use any rerolls on his roll. You covered the problem and an appropriate solution. However, you did not provide an understanding of how to execute the solution. So you've missed out on him choosing or not choosing to roll with advantage on his roll. I will reserve the right to choose whether or not to do that. You didn't go over the time limit, so you're going to get a +10 to your roll because you'll have enough time to hear his response. The last one is did not rush and spoke confidently. You definitely spoke confidently. James, I'm going to let you arbitrate this one as a fast talker. Did that feel...
I definitely slowed down.
As someone who I assume receives elevator pitches and speeches regularly, did that seem rushed or did that just seem paced?
Look, I would say this is why you have dice rolls in game systems, because this is the players, not the characters necessarily, and their speaking style. So,
okay. I will say this. One, I am from the north. I tend to speak fast. I've learned to slow down. I tried to stay in Velamris's normal, somewhat slow, pointed style of speaking.
It's K that was speaking rushed. Yeah, don't worry about that.
So I definitely spoke fast, but I tried to keep a measured speed to make sure that I didn't stutter or like...
I definitely think spoke confidently is on the table here. So you'll get another +10, so you'll have a +20 to this roll.
Excellent.
Alis Sejanus is rolling against a 60. So you need to not only succeed, you have to beat the amount of successes that he has +1.
Okay, so we could definitely throw in a fate point.
You can throw in a fate point
for the success level and for advantage. But I think we have advantage from...
Was his evidence and speaking time compelling enough for our...
Yes, I see no problem with this.
Okay.
So we definitely have one fate point for the success.
So you have more than one shot on opportunity at this because you have multiple fate points. So you can reroll.
You can fate for the reroll too if necessary. Yeah.
But you start with advantage.
Can I give him a fate point since I'm involved in... Okay.
You are not his fate, but you can't give him a fate point.
Yeah, you're
so I'm on the council, but I'm not a master.
Yeah. You've seen the show. You know how it goes. Whenever you're ready to roll.
I really thought when he asked what I proposed to have happen that going into more detail than that would have been a disrespectful presumption for somebody of his station.
He stopped to ask you what you wanted to have happen.
Yeah.
And I think he said what he needed to say was just simply treat him as a traitor and execute or what have you. The specifics on how that's done, that's up to the Lord sector, whatever the hell his title is.
All right, I'll accept that. So he won't get to roll with advantage. I'll accept that.
The most common thing missed in an elevator pitch is the request, is the call to action. Is people are so busy getting out the message, they never get to, and what next? You know, what they never actually asked for something.
So I did say that he needed to be removed as a traitor, and I did.
You did, and you included
and I did
Barnum and
mention-
Hoveler in that as well.
And I did ask
You don't need to argue with me with this anymore.
No,
I agree with you.
I'm not arguing with you. I'll go into it in my head to make sure that I said everything I meant to, so I could, be upset with myself or not. And I did mention restoring the names of the lives lost in those branded traitor for his crimes. Okay.
How you guys feeling before we do this roll? You've got all the heavy lifting out of the way. There's nothing else to have happen.
That's exactly how I'm feeling. At this point, it literally is on the dice roll now.
I'm not going to feel
breath.
good until I'm not being executed.
Just take a breath.
And this is a regular rapport, no specialties.
I mean, you have advantage from your friend. You have a +20 from the bonuses you've received.
So
Based
wasn't
on your-
Omar rolling it? Because it was Omar.
No,
was the,
whoever has the high. It says
I'm
the book
rolling it.
says the character with the higher skill rolls with
okay.
advantage.
So Imperial governors are part of the Adeptus Administratum.
That is true.
Omar has +1 SL with
Ooh.
Adeptus Administratum.
I'll buy that.
Not think about that.
Because he is technically the character making this roll, even if he is not the one rolling it. James has managed to talk you into an additional +1 SL through bullshit.
Okay.
Do you have? No. Go ahead.
Do I
The only
have-
other consideration, though, for you, Arthur, is because we very clearly invoked the name of the rogue trader, whether the rogue trader has a negative or a positive SL with that faction too.
Yes, don't worry. I'll be accounting for that.
Right. Okay. I guess let's do this thing.
Let's do it, Kain.
Straight out of Compton. This is some real fellas with attitude
advantage.
action right here.
So that should be with +2 SL in the dialogue box. Am I right?
Plus 20 and +1 SL.
Yeah, that's right.
Just-
Did you put a
Just-
fate
yeah,
point in
just-
for that?
And with
Yeah, we have
advantage,
the
don't forget
advantage.
that. Spit it all out here. Yeah.
Do the fate point after you do the fate point after you roll, which is to get the +1 SL. So
Okay.
you want to knock it up to a +4.
How many? Can I just spend all 3 of my fate points to get +3?
One time.
I mean, there's like 15 points in there.
You know that he has a 60, and you need to have a success level of 0 to win this.
Yeah. So if you spend a fate point to get +4, he would need to roll a 19 or less. So there's a 19% chance that he will roll.
I would say definitely spend that fate point.
If you don't,
get his-
it's a 29% chance.
Yeah, I mean, that part's a no-brainer. I'm just trying to decide because I rolled a 47. Do I spend a fate to
You
reroll?
don't take the
or
better
check?
of the two. If you re-roll, that is your new roll.
No,
There's only a
add the
39%
success to
chance
this.
improve.
Well,
I
but you're forgetting he has advantage, so the math on that gets skewed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I would say leave it with the plus and add the success level on there. Make
What
it a
about you,
+4.
James? Since you seem to be mathing, what do you think?
No, I would leave it there because there's a chance also that you make it worse.
Yeah.
So,
There's a chance you make it much worse.
Yeah, I will spend the fate point to make it a +4.
Okay. If this comes up a 19 or lower, you have problems.
At least you can't reroll.
That's a 41. Now, before I reveal the next part,
Oh,
which is
no.
the second roll.
Oh, no.
there is a
No,
second
no.
roll, but it's not for what you think.
Okay.
That is a great callback for James, by the way. It's a great callback.
Yeah, it was.
Just picked up his salt shaker and slammed it on the table right there.
Now we need to roll for liturgical to see if there are any issues
Perils?
with what he does.
At least we had time left, so he didn't.
As
just
long as this
die.
roll is both successful and not doubles,
Yeah.
you should be okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, weird stuff might happen. That roll
Well,
is
it's
not
not.
successful.
But it's not a double.
It's Is there anything we can do about that?
He is going to fate this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is
Okay.
successful and not a double. It is a 27.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Velamris was ready to. I know he doesn't like to be touched, but Velamris was definitely ready to get in there and grab him and do whatever he could to, keep him going. But he's also not a psyker.
He says to you, Sector Lord Paulus Sejanus, with 5 seconds of pause, he says, I require a representative to execute my will. I agree with your plan. Rassie van Lucht, I am naming you temporary Imperial Governor until such time as you hear back from me. I will deal with Barnum and Hoveler. And Liturgical cuts the call as he finishes saying that, collapses to the floor unconscious with blood rolling out from underneath his bandages and out of his mouth.
Apply life-saving first aid.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think you're better at it than I am, right?
You can see
I can't.
with him
I don't know what you
collapsing,
got.
you can see that through the docking window, someone is physically hoisting the chain to pull the life pod back into the docking bay so that you are back on Imperial territory.
Wait, so actually, as much as it might be really uncomfortable for Liturgical, with what Rassie kind of knows now, if there's a risk of something going wrong with Liturgical, then Rassie being near him might help.
Correct.
So Rassie's going to step right up and take a knee and put a hand on his shoulder and be like, Velamris, come on, check him out. See if he needs help.
Okay. There's nothing warp going on here. His internal organs are just severely damaged from the strain of performing a ritual that commanders of the Grey Knights are the only ones capable of doing.
I assume this shuttle pod thing has some sort of Medicaid kit.
First aid kit? Sure, yeah. You climb over one of the 2 dead bodies that you can see that where they had blood runes on them, the blood runes have become black burned skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you grab a Medicaid kit. Sure.
I'm going to make a Medicaid roll to apply basic first aid stuff. I'm going to spend a fate point to have advantage on this roll.
Okay. That's successful. You're going to keep Liturgical from outright dying.
Yeah.
I feel like
all I got to do is get him to somebody who knows more about medicine than me.
I feel like while you're pulling the kid out and you're starting to work on him, Rassie just looks over at you and says, did I hear that right? Temporary governor?
Yeah, so let it go to I don't know what exactly Velamris might have to do at this point. You're probably a couple of vials being jabbed into Liturgical's arm or something. He just looks up and he's like, just don't get a big head about it. And then goes back to doing whatever he's got to do to try to keep Liturgical safe.
From behind you, the little floating Imperial servo skull, you hear it say, temporary governorship is temporary, but its power is almost unlimited. I will speak with Inquisitor Profundus if you would like the Inquisition to handle this quietly. And you kind of recognize the tinny, grainy voice coming out of the servo skull.
It's the same one we talked to very briefly before meeting with the AdMech, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm not worried about a big head. I'm just I don't know.
Here, hold this.
Yeah, sure.
Don't worry. I'll keep you humble. We'll figure this out soon enough. Let's get Liturgical under care with
the servo skull turns to look at you, Velamris, and says, it is lucky that you have a inquisitorial pardon for a common administratum adept addressing a planetary governor in the way that you have is surely grounds for execution.
I think Velamris actually has that moment of like, A, shit, you're right. B, but he's my work. Fuck, he's right. And then he's like, I'm still trying to get save liturgical here. Just kind of give me a moment, all right? But he doesn't say a whole lot, but he's got like that look on his face that changes facial expressions like 2 or 3 times.
Is he stable? Can we move him?
I think so.
Okay. And I'll scoop up and pick up liturgical.
Okay.
We need to take him to a Medicaid. We need to take him to the trading house.
You feel
the trading house is probably the best place.
this egg pod enter into the docking bay. Things clamp behind it. Pressures equalize. The ramps open. And we cut back over to Holly, interlocuting her way in front of the council. I will now need your answer, Grimdark James. Shall history take a slight... Does the tines of the clock step back slightly, or do we continue forward?
I think that everybody wants this to go the way it was going to go. So Holly, with her answer, is going to excuse herself. But I mean, I think the next step for her is going to be to try and organise some one-on-ones with some of these people, particularly the Crusader D'Angelo.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's something I can do here or I've got to reach out after the fact.
You can speak with their sort of non-secular secretaries to pen yourself in. After a short time of setting yourself up with individual meetings with Evandro, Lila, and D'Angelo, you see that the 2 scribes that were in the room are kind of hovering behind you wherever you go, kind of clutching at books and peeking at you while whispering to each other.
Is there some problem, novices?
One of them steps forward and says, just, so much around here. Sorry, my name is Mellotron, and this is my friend, Scribe Sigsy. It's been a long time since someone spoke with the kind of passion that you show. You know what I mean? What you have, your faith is so strong and forward. I feel like we've been lacking a lot of that around here. It's probably why we've been losing so many believers to Father Firebrand. You have a very similar aura about you, an energy. And you can see that they're both like nodding to each other, kind of like it's a little bit hero worship. Almost like they want you to autograph their Bibles.
I'm just a little bit curious about the segregation of the ecclesiarchy and Father Firebrand. You speak as though they are 2 separate factions competing for the same audience. I mean, I know he's not a priest, but...
The 2 of them open their mouths and kind of look at each other, then look back at you. They occasionally make a croaking noise before Mellotron says, it's just... I don't know how things go anywhere else. Most of the people that serve here in the Iron Archipelago were born here. And we hear stories about miraculous and terrible things elsewhere, but everything around here is a little dry and dusty. I think you can see that. And Father Firebrand is not on the books, but he's got something. He's got what you've got. I don't know what that is, but you've both got it. And it makes me feel something inside, a sort of warm hatred. Sigsy nods and is like, it feels... When I hear you speak back there in that council chamber, I almost stopped stenographying. I didn't, because that would be heresy, but I almost stopped, because I believed your words.
I know it may not feel it sometimes, but you have had a privileged position here on the archipelago. I have been on a world set to flames twice, first as a child, then again as an adult. All of us need to gird ourselves for future conflict, because no matter how peaceful our situation may seem, the enemies of mankind are everywhere, and war is inevitable. In the grim present of right now, there is only war.
They both say, intoning, they both say there is only war. Mellotron steps forward and she offers you her hand and says, good luck with your Blue Ribbon Commission. I hope that they investigate your purity of thought and action and find you to be as pure as I see.
Thank you. And if either of you or any of your friends would like to wax on matters of faith, you can contact me and we'll make time.
Oh, we do a thing. We do like a Wednesday, whatever Wednesday is in the Imperium. We do a Wednesday night social where all of the low-ranking scribes get together and we just sort of talk about the things we've seen in our jobs, and you know, we talk about how hard it is to get by out here. If you wanted to come by and just like meet everybody sometime, I feel like you could really re-energize us.
Okay. Give me the details.
Okay, yeah, they do. Sigsy and Mellotron exchange details with you and talk to you about what is essentially a post-work drinking bitch session that is officially, you know, takes place in temple grounds and involves whatever passes for like a holy beer while everyone sits around and complains about their bosses.
Is there any scope in this conversation right now to get any basic first impressions from them on the three members of the council?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to ask them. So Mellotron works for Lila and Sigsy works for D'Angelo.
Okay.
They are like scribes attached to their offices.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I'm curious, what do you make of the council members? I mean, one of you each of you work for one of them, but there is also the last. I mean,
Evandriel, yeah, of course. Sigsy says, you know, a lot of my time with D'Angelo involves observing and writing down what I consider to be an unusual number of genital mutilations. It is a very favored tactic of the Crusader faction aboard these space stations to go out into the public. I don't have anything against mutilating the genitals of heretics, don't get me wrong. It just feels like we could do more. It's just so the same all the time.
So more mutilations or different things?
Punishments, you know, like we don't always have to mutilate everyone's genitals, right? We could burn them, or we could just outright kill them, or we could like take their children from them or something like that. You know, all the things that are allowed for in the book, D'Angelo just always does the one thing and has as long as I've lived here. And that's fine. You know, it's everything is by the book. It's all allowed. There's no problem with it. All allowed by the Imperium. It just feels like we could be doing more. I think our intended audience has come to accept that these things will happen and sort of prepares themselves for it. And it doesn't have as much effect at shocking their souls into true belief.
And what of Lila?
Mellotron says, yeah, Lila is great to work with. So the thing is that she's kind of waiting for a place to go missionary work with. For like the last 30 years, we've been waiting for someone to take a planet beyond the Iron Archipelago. And so we have a lot of prepared materials, pamphlets, books, and yeah, James, you get it. Okay. we just spend a lot of time, you know, kind of refining what we already have. You know, once you have 1 million pamphlets, you really just gotta go back and check them all, and then make sure the ink hasn't faded every year. And we're just like symbology, and we polish all the skulls, and we've got all of our defensive fortification kits and our instant temple kits, and we're just waiting. We don't really, proactively do anything. We're just holding on for someone else to conquer a planet so that we can go. And we really, I have to tell you, Missionary Lila is so excited for your rogue trader to take over whatever the name of that world is, so that we can minister to. I understand they're humans who have been forced into slavery. We have whole chapters devoted to how we ministrate to such individuals to bring them back into the light. Unlike the Crusader faction, it doesn't involve a lot of genital mutilations. We generally try to get people on our side in the process, but yeah, just a lot of like Bene Gesserit, like incorporating their local legends, mind fucking them, replacing their leadership with people who are more, conducive to us. Just generally changing their local values, incorporating the God Emperor into their beliefs. I have to say, I'm really looking forward to the paperwork that's involved in that. It's just, it feels like we could be going somewhere and doing something. Isn't that why we signed up to join the Missionary Corps? Right?
Indeed. Definitely. And look, I think just inside a word that looking at the betting pools inside the Rogue Traders estates, the current leading name for the planet to be renamed to is Chaderian 3.
Chaderian 3. Wow, what a strong name. Love it.
All right.
Anything else you want to go over with them? Any other questions?
And Evandriel, I know you don't work for her, but...
Yeah, Evandriel. What can I say about Evandriel? They both look at each other, and they both make like a clicking noise with their tongue, and...
Oh, I apologize. I'll look at my chrono. Apparently, time is getting away.
Yeah. Evandriel is, Evandriel is a very competent administrator. And fortunately for us, Father Firebrand is a very good preacher. Yeah, Evandriel's great. We love Evandriel here.
All right, I need to get going. Thank you very much.
They both give you huge fake smiles until you say that you need to get going, and then they give you genuinely warm smiles. And both reach out to take your hand, sort of. Again, it's a little bit of hero worship, kind of.
Yeah, I'll give them a benediction.
Okay. That's a big deal for them.
Yeah. And, yeah, I will look forward to seeing one of your Wednesday gatherings.
Okay. We cut back to Rassie and Velamris. The door has opened. People are coming inside to help remove your makeup. Someone has a stretcher and is applying actual medical aid to liturgical.
Hey, I did actual medical aid. It's just very first responder.
Somebody's coming in with a servitor that has a Roomba attachment on one of his feet to sort of start cleaning up all of the blood.
Oh, the dead body.
Yeah, they're hosing off the dead bodies and all the blood sigils everywhere.
But they're all trading house people, right?
Yeah, trading house people. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just all very perfunctory. Like, this is one of the most important moments of your entire life. And people around you are just like, okay, we're going to take the makeup off you. We're just going to brush that off. Take your ruffles off. Somebody's trying to strip you out of your Imperial Guardsman outfit, Rassie, to get you back into your sports jersey. The lack of tension is unreal to the two of you. You're with your blood pressures right now. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I'm just gonna look at Rassie and be like, hey, as soon as we get this cleaned up, and like, we need a drink.
One of the guys is like, hey, listen, First off, this is union work. You can't clean this up, okay? You get your damn boots out of my fucking shuttle, all right? The servitor is like, it again. One of its feet has been replaced by a Roomba, and it's just kicking one of the dead bodies. And he's like, "Hey, come on, J27, you can't be fucking kicking the body. Come on, get over here. You gotta clean the blood up first. I'll get the body." The servitor turns towards him. You see this perfectly clean, almost sand-blasted line through the gore as this guy, like, hobbles his way through with his one Roomba leg.
Velamris, we need a ride back to the trading house. Go get one.
At once, my lord. And I want to point out, he puts sarcasm that the average person nearby probably wouldn't pick up on it, but he knows Rassie will. This is a military Roger that. As he goes and gets a vehicle.
As you turn to walk away, Rassie says, "Remember, respect the rank, not the man."
we salute the rank, not the person.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Silver walks by at that moment.
Actually, I think he was a colonel in that, or maybe he was a major.
He was not a colonel.
No.
Yeah, okay, so
Guarantee that.
Oh, Silver, not Sobel. Never mind. Yeah, so I'll run and grab a vehicle or something, some form of conveyance for us, and he's definitely going to be out. Like we need a drink after that.
Huh?
One to bring the blood pressure down, and one to celebrate success and not death.
Yeah, I mean, Rassie's doing Rassie and trying to play things off like they're cool, but like there's an extra level of bobbing and extra like opening and closing fists repeatedly is just like a nervous gesture as we ride back to the trading house.
I feel like there's a private moment where it's you and the servo skull waiting for Velamris to bring your vehicle over, and the servo skull, not facing towards you, just says, "So, what are your plans? If you don't want the Inquisition to handle this man, how are you going to do it?"
If I don't want the Inquisition to handle this man, or if they
I asked you earlier if you wanted us to do it, and you did not reply in the affirmative.
If the option will continue to be available, I will think on it on the ride and give you my answer when we get to the trading house.
The Inquisition does not sleep. We are ready to move when needed. Planetary Governor. Just know, we may ask things of you.
I understand.
Held by our own successes.
Okay.
All right, where to, your governorship?
Back to the trading house. I need to dress a bit more appropriately for the conversations that need to happen. As I look down at my sweaty jersey.
And I think Velamris, not knowing that he had just had this conversation with the Inquisition, is going to start off as he pulls out onto the main road. Like, all right, so what are we going to do now? Like, how do you want to get rid of this guy?
It's not about my personal feelings on this. It's not about revenge.
Sure.
I think the least disruptive thing to do would be for the traitor and his core accomplices. I mean, the Space Hulk is a dangerous place. I think that'd be the least disruptive way to do it.
In the line of action?
I'm sure if I made a request, I'm sure it'd be done in a way that wouldn't be particularly disruptive.
There's disruption, but there's also the execution of justice. And I feel like in the line of action, the mistake on the Space Hulk is not exactly very just. He should stand for his crimes and be rendered guilty, as we believe he is, as we know he is. and face summary execution. He's a traitor to humanity.
He is a traitor, and I'm...
Removing him from humanity certainly is an option, but there is examples that should be made as well.
I guess, but in my time in the Guard, when traitors are identified, there isn't a whole show of trial about it. Traitors are just removed. The commissariat don't take time to explain. It's sort of what I'm used to.
A certain amount of expeditiousness is required for many reasons, least of which to allow him and any of his other accomplices the opportunity to escape. But I feel that to some degree, disruption is inevitable.
Yes, but I don't want to court the idea of open war between
No,
the Guard and the trading house.
That would be detrimental for the powers of mankind, not to mention everybody involved. At any rate, oh, look, we're here, Your Lordship. Shall we check in with whatever is still going on in the house?
I'm going to clean up, put my uniform on. Let me know when liturgical awakens.
As soon as I hear something, I'll let you know. And unless you have anything else, I think an update or two on the job board and maybe reaching out to Sister Holly to see how she's doing seems appropriate before we call this a day.
It's true. We should see if she's come back.
As Holly comes back, it feels like all three characters will meet up again without liturgical, because he's going to be out for some time. But they'll do so after our break, which we'll return from in about, let's say, 5 minutes.
Need to find liturgical a box of Void Crisps.
He's tired, man. He literally
and those oranges. And those oranges he likes.
Wow. Well, friends, things are still spicy, but we are here. I think everyone has calmed down.
I mean, my real life blood pressure's a little lower.
Sure.
My heart rate.
Everyone's together. Except liturgical, who's receiving desperate medical attention.
Welcome back,
I've
sister.
come back with some like takeaway calves, you know, like one for each of us plus one for liturgical.
Sister, something notable has happened and I should explain.
Okay.
Velamris Liturgical and I had the 5-minute meeting with the Sector Lord. I'm not sure how long it'll take Liturgical to recover from the stresses of it, but he's receiving Medicaid care.
Were you still dressed like that?
Oh God, no! Thankfully,
no,
thankfully,
I was not. The conversation went well, I think. The Sector Lord decided that he needed a local agent and has appointed me temporary Imperial Governor.
I'm impressed. And what of the rogue Imperial Commander?
I am deciding how I want to deal with him.
Okay, well, that should be pretty easy to do given this the new role, but of course, it does this temporary role terminate once you have dealt this justice?
I believe the words were "until you hear back from me."
Okay.
My understanding is I will continue to be a temporary governor at the pleasure of the Sector Lord until he decides he no longer needs an agent here.
How many people on this station could actually receive communications from the Imperial Governor?
So you know that there are 2 psychers that work in the communications department, and you know that liturgical is a telepathic as well.
Okay.
Well, there was
I'm just going through the whole, you know, if we never hear back, then it never ends.
Yes, of course.
There's also
James, you've nailed it.
there's also the Astra. Oh God, what is it? Astra Telepathica.
Yeah, the Astra
office.
Telepathica. Yeah.
I thought they had more than just 2 psychers.
No, they had
like a handful.
They had 3 psychers, and 2 of them were telepathica that were interrogating you and looking into your mind.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Okay,
yeah,
so I thought they had like a full choir or whatever.
There's no choir here on this. On the
I mean, you just watched the choir die.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's liturgical +1.
They don't have a massive choir out here at the end of fucking nowhere. You know what I mean? Like,
it's college radio. That I got you.
This place only has like 1 million people living on it, and fully a third of them aren't even Imperial citizens. So
they'd have to get a ship here with a choir or contact.
Almost like
the
there's
trader.
some sort of sick rogue trader fleet with multiple choirs spread throughout the whole fleet that act as the primary communication point. Now, it should be noted, there are Imperial Navy ships, and they might have telepathica on it for receiving orders, but you know nothing about that. You have physically seen 2 members of the telepathica, and you know that liturgical is also capable of long-range communications. That's it.
And we did not recognize the 2 people who were expended.
No, they were emaciated slaves. They were exactly what you would expect out of choir agents.
They were actually fired off the road.
Now, I mean, there are several ways you could do this without being directly involved. You could task the commissariat. You could task the Adeptus Arbites with enforcing the sector governor's law ruling here. I think that, for you to walk in and point a gun at the man's head, you'll have to answer a lot of questions, a lot of difficult questions, and you may have to fight your way to that point. But
I agree.
There are legitimate agencies that you can pull into play here potentially.
The commissariat might be the easiest one, but we also would have to vet whoever actually does the trigger pulling, considering the Lord Colonel's influence.
There is no need to worry about vetting the commissariat. I don't know how much experience you have with them, but they are men apart from the guardsmen that they watch.
I believe what you're saying, but my question is the Lord Colonel's influence such that he has corrupted at least one senior official of the Adeptus Administratum? It is not unreasonable to assume that perhaps he has done something similar with those closest to him.
Look, I trained alongside members of the commissariat at the scope. I dated one at the commissariat as like the Progenium. They are built to question the drives of the men that they work with.
Well,
but to issue orders to any of them, I think it would be important to be able to provide them some kind of proof of the appointment.
Legitimacy behind your orders, yes. I think Velamris is going to look at the serval skull and give a knowing look of, can we get some sort of written confirmation?
Servo skull stares blankly, hovering up and down sort of ominously.
Well, my success was more mixed. Another situation like engineering downstairs, it's a matter of time. Unfortunately, the actions to reduce the time frame need to be a little bit more kinetic. But I'm not yet ready to throw away our money to the Navy just yet. I think there is still more work to be done.
So in the matter of the Crossus Porcine and the Righteous Wrathful, those are still unresolved as far as how to, resolve them.
Well, I said there is a resolution in play, but the time frame is beyond that what we need. So it's just a case of bringing that timeline in.
Do you think that's something that you may yet be able to do?
Certainly. It just requires, I said, leverage in the right places.
I'm going to glance at the serval skull again, but very, very briefly.
Servo skull doesn't move and is still staring blankly at whatever it was.
It doesn't talk Velamris. Like,
I
I don't know why we keep looking to it. You know,
maybe because we expect something to come out of it every now and again. Force of habit. It follows us, and inanimate object that we talk to because reasons.
more importantly, how did the game go?
We won.
We cut back to Space Jam style flashbacks of Rassie like, mega dunk. The
No,
whole
that was
backboard shatters.
Velamris. It was Velamris that made that
Yeah,
shot.
it was Velamris that did
Okay.
it.
Because I think of the three people that were rolling for
I don't
our
remember.
team,
It's
I was the
been
only
like
one
a
that
month
passed
and a
it.
half since the last episode.
Yeah. I remember because I made the game-winning shot.
I also like the nondescript thing you've got going, right? Like we passed the ball to you, and someone's like, "Wait, where did the ball go?" As you just dribble by.
Now that's the anime power right there.
I hope you didn't shatter the backboard in a pool game. Save that stuff for the finals.
Well, it was certainly not my intent to shatter anything, but maybe I got a little ahead of myself.
So with the finals, what you have to do is you need to replace the ball with a giant servo skull that's flaming. And then when you dunk it through the hoop, its eyes flash wide and it says, "For the God Emperor," as the board shatters.
That would be amazing.
I don't know if you guys ever played the Sega Genesis or SNES basketball kung fu games,
No.
Windy City or whatever. Listen, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I sound like a crazy person. There are some weird basketball games from the early 90s that were truly unhinged.
I feel like the 40K version of basketball is like playing it with a crack grenade with a fuse of indeterminate length. The goal is to score as many points as you can before the ball goes off.
That sounds about right.
All right, here we go. Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City is a side-scrolling video game developed by EA in 1994, which also came out on the Sega Genesis. It is a 2D platformer where you play Michael Jordan on a quest to save the rest of the players for an all-star charity game who've been kidnapped. Players attack enemies using different basketballs. Michael can slam dunk as an attack.
Sorry, was it EA or EA Sports?
It's EA because it was 1994, so it was EA. If it was EA Sports, it would be in the game, but it's not in the game, so it's just Electronic Arts.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Wow, sounds like today has been quite the eventful, successful day.
Where's Liturgical? I have a coffee for him, or Cass.
As I said earlier, he's being treated by a Medicaid.
Okay, all right.
Also, thank you for the calf, by the way.
Yeah, I'll put it at his desk. Maybe he likes cold calf.
Who doesn't like tepid cats?
This is something my father used to make a coffee and then put it in the kitchen and go to bed and then just drink it in the morning. Leave it on the counter all night or sometimes put it in the refrigerator overnight.
I bother.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Was it at least in a bottle or something so it wouldn't get dried out or whatever the water?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, just in a cup.
All right.
Cup and sauce.
It's like when my mom says she drinks black coffee, but what she really means is she pours a fresh cup of black coffee and then she pours a cup of water over top of it. She drinks really watered down black coffee. Disgusting. But coffee's disgusting in general. I'm sorry, coffee heads. Hey, you guys are in charge of the game right now.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the ride. You've got all the power.
I mean, this is the evening now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's whatever time of day you want it to be. Sure.
Well, I mean, because they did their thing after the basketball game.
That's true. So just to fill you in, then you have 4 days of testing left with your engineer Enhaplite. You have 1 week until the next basketball game, and still on the chalkboard you see fix things with the Astra Militarum, fix things with the Mechanicum, finish promises to Arbites over heresy accusation, the Papa Oinkers paperwork, contact Crueltis Porcine Dealer, and SEO optimization.
Oh yes, O2. I remember that now.
That's for Papa Oinkers. You wanted to do SEO optimization for his business.
It'd just be SEO or SE optimization.
Okay, that is true.
I wipe optimization off the board. So
Understood.
SEO.
Understood. So you also wipe off machine next to ATM machine as well.
And the number after ISBN number. And
All right, you got me, guys. You got me.
All right. Let's.
I think I was just gonna say. I think as we look over the board, Velamris is going to bring up the question about what do we do about the Militarum and the Mechanicum reference Violetta. What is our plan there?
Well, I think that if we deal with Rassie's issue, that the Militarum issue deals with itself.
Perhaps, yes.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to brainstorm that one too much. I just have to decide how confrontational I want things to possibly get between the trading house and the guard.
And then the Mechanicum that we have some suspicions. What do we want to do with them?
I think
if we had a psyker still, I'd say we could reach out to the Mechanicum beyond this station to try and find out about the agents that are working here, but
beyond
the Mechanicum. Perhaps when he returns,
you contact the Void Dragon, and he's just like, "Hey, man, I'm just trying to take a nap. Okay, I'm real hurt."
Yeah, we only created this problem yesterday, so we don't need to solve it today.
Very well. God damn, no, I think you're right. That might have been I think that might have even been earlier today that we killed Violetta. So, yeah. On that note, I think Rassie, Holly, let's go have a couple of drinks or something. I feel like this is time to celebrate. We've got a couple of wins under our belts. Let's enjoy it while we can.
Is there a staff bar within the Darkwind trading house?
Yeah, I feel like there definitely has to be several of them, based on your social rank sort of deal. Like the lowest level one only serves beers and is more like a pub, and then like the further up you get, the more darker, intimate, and the more cocktails they serve.
I want to find the one that's got the best like bartender in terms of like the talking bartender, the one that you can share all your problems with. And
now, I'm curious, when you think of talking bartender, for me, it goes one of two ways. It's a heavily tattooed person who can occasionally refer to themselves as a mixologist, and they wear a vest, and maybe they affect little glasses. The other side of that to me is the bartender from the Chris Pratt movie, where
the Martin Freeman.
Isn't that bartender's name Arthur? Actually, I think so. But
I don't know.
Yeah, he's a very sociable bartender who's not a jackass.
He's always
Arthur. Yeah. So sorry, Michael Sheen, not Martin Freeman. Michael Sheen played him. That's right.
Which one of those two do you want?
Yeah, I was going for the latter.
Okay.
Does he have a servitor lower locomotion?
No. So you go to this bar, you have authorization and clearance. Like, you guys are not low-ranking employees, right? You are all personally picked by the rogue trader. And what level of power you have, you've never actually explored. But when you go into the bar, some people like get up and move away to give you space, and other people see you and they're like, "Oh, it's them. It's the rogue trader's personal factor team." Right? You're a big deal when you come in here. The bartender is wearing like Imperial citizens' robes, but he has a snappy pair of suspenders over them, and he's doing a bow tie. Oh yeah, bow tie for sure. Bow tie for sure. And the center of the bow tie is a little skull as well. He's a full, baseline human. He snaps his suspenders when you sit down. And he's doing like very formal, sharp, like pours. It's clear that this is a person who, if you needed them to, they could do bar tricks. But if you don't want that, they're not going to bother. Like, they're going to serve you the drink you asked for. And the bartender says, "Oh, look at the faces on these three walking in here. Haven't seen you here before. Velamris, Holly. planetary governor, Rassie van Lucht.
Velamris is
travel
gonna-
fast.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that was really quick.
What can I get you?
The darkest beer you've got.
He pours something out that's like pure midnight black and foamy. Would you like extra sodium with that?
No, but I will take whatever you have for munchies on here.
Munchies.
Beer nuts, almonds.
We have pretzels.
That will do
And he
splendidly.
brings a little wooden bowl with like artfully like 8 Pennsylvania pretzels. These things
We're gonna
are
need-
so
we're-
fat. They're like finger thick, huge, twisted knots.
We're gonna need more of those. But thank you.
More will be provided as they are consumed.
Indeed.
It's the
And he's gonna take one
you understand establishment rules.
Yes.
Do you have a house special?
We do.
All right, let's try that.
Okay. It's called the Darkwind. It's
course
basically
it
just
is.
a dark and stormy. But they serve, but both the beer and the rum that he serves it from both have Chaderius Darkwind's face on the label of them, and he pours them into a frosted mug and scoots that over to you and says, "One Darkwind. Recipe's over 500 years old."
I'll have a clear liquor.
Pulls down a vodka. It says Imperial Infantrymen's Triage. It's a brand label.
I was waiting for the Imperial Special to come out.
Do you like a shot glass or a mug?
I'll take a mug.
All right. He sets out a beer stein and he basically pours half the bottle into it. And then he smoothly recaps it, sets it down, and puts it in front of you.
Rassie takes a deep breath, then leans forward, grabs the mug, and starts sipping.
I think Holly's definitely the sort of person that drinks cocktails with a straw. So it's just not a rim sipper like that, you know. So goes for the straw instead.
A rim sipper. I've never heard it described that way.
Me neither.
Velamris is going to lift his mug and propose a toast to the Sector Lord, our new governor, and to the rogue trader himself.
Okay. Everyone in the room will toast to Sector Lord Aulus Sejanus and, of course, to rogue trader Chaderius Darkwind. But they don't... You're like, and to the planetary governor. And several people are like, there's never been a planetary governor of...
This isn't even a planet.
It's not a planet. There's no planetary governor here.
That's okay. Velamris will know what it means.
Okay. The bartender makes himself a Virgin Bloody Mary toast as well. It says, to your health. And to the health of the Sector Lord. You know, I see a lot of people coming here every day. The three of you look like you've got something troubling you. It gets out a
Troubling?
little cloth and starts cleaning the bar.
Troubling is certainly a word, but, well, we're busy people. We have plenty to do.
It's a trading house, one would assume.
Yeah, I think that we've just got a lot happening. Everything,
We
you
wanna-
know, it's seems every time we answer one question, two more get asked.
I've heard
But I
that
feel
your
like we're in-
thermometers are filling up very quickly downstairs. Have you considered
It's-
taking some time for your hobbies? I know that the rogue trader, I don't mean to speak for him, but I know that he encourages his employees to live a full and fruitful life and experience. That's why he provides amenities like this and the basketball court.
Yeah, you know, we won our game today, too, yeah?
He gestures to some photos on the wall that have been placed up for the winners of the matches today. You could see like there's like the winning Velamris smash from your game, and then there's like this perfectly executed pirouette getting around somebody of one of the guys you've seen from the garage. Like, you were surprised that a guy who's like 6'5" and easily weighs in excess of 300 pounds is moving with such like a perfect swoop around somebody with his tongue like all the way out of his mouth, like it's almost like golden ratio how his body is formed as he's just juking someone with the ball in the process.
That's a great
And of
shot
course,
right there.
another winning team is the Vault Boys, who are the Armory Boys who got you fitted up in your power suits. They are one of the other winning teams. They absolutely. The enemy team, their opposing team is actually like not present. Like, they have fouled the opposing team so much that there's just like one guy.
Sounds like a Blood Bowl match.
Have we worked out who our nemesis team is yet?
Like, nemesis team? Yeah, it's the Vault Boys. Yeah.
Who we're destined to face in the finals?
Yeah, it's the Vault Boys. You'll only face them in the finals. Your nemesis team. Yeah.
Well, my friends, to a eventful and quite successful day. And he'll lift his glass for a small private toast for the three of us.
Bartender gives you a respectful distance, but glances over just to make sure you know that if you need him, he can involve himself in the conversation.
I'll nod back.
So I got a question for you too. When you first came into the Rogue Traders Notice, were you here for your own reasons? Like, do you still have your own things to achieve, or is it just what you're doing for the Darkwind trade house now?
Well, to be entirely frank, Velamris is familiar with it now, but we were ordered to sit in a box and die. We followed our orders faithfully, and when we got new orders to be under the command of the trading house for a year, I fulfilled my orders to come here. I had no idea what to expect. And after a conversation we had before, and I thought about restoring the good name of the fallen of the 143rd, well, I have the power to just choose to do so now. Well, a lot of this is new. I mean, and he just sort of gestures to where we are. I've seen places like this when I was a child, but it's not quite as much as this is, but I don't know. There's so much about the personal time and stuff that, I mean, I threw myself into the PDF because I knew I wanted to leave world. I wanted to be a drop trooper. It's almost like getting to the time that we had as families back home. It's strange to me. I'm still trying to get used to it.
I was sent here to root out corruption within the Darkwind trading house. And to be frank and honest, the only corruption I've really seen has been everything around the Darkwinds. Nothing to do with the Darkwind. Nothing to do with a rogue trader, but everybody else, the other factions here. In light of that, I plan on staying.
Okay.
I've got nothing to go back to.
I just want to be fair real quick and ask everyone to roll whatever passes for insight check or perception check real quick when Velamris in the middle of a bar openly announces that he came here to spy on the rogue trader.
I don't think he's going to be terribly loud, but also I don't think it's been very
it's a
well
bar.
hidden up
Come
to this
on,
point
you can
anyway.
hear other people talking.
Oh, sure.
Intuition people.
Yeah, intuition people for sure.
I'll do intuition. Well, that's the same.
I'm not even terrible
There it
at
is.
this.
Came rolling like normal now. Now we're back in the regular.
Oh,
Okay, Holly, you notice the bartender starts and seems a little surprised by that. And several other people in the room look with some concern at Velamris' pronouncement that he came here to spy on the rogue trader. And like, while he has announced that, like, yes, it does seem like only the people who sent him here have done any corruption, some of the people like immediately look at each other suspiciously and leave the room.
I'll try and respond then. Look, I understand. I came here for my own order, and I like it enough here that I would rather stay given the choice. The problem for me is that I said I came here to do something, and as fast as we have filled our thermometers, I have made no progress on my own mission since joining this group. And that's difficult.
Is your own goal something you'd be willing to share?
I thought he
certainly.
had shared. I'm sorry.
I don't think I have. I don't think it's come up at all. No.
I could be wrong.
I mean, my order is trying to make a match with the rogue trader and to continue his line. We put out several candidates, and was it the major domo? What was the role of the person? Yeah, the major domo sort of. He decided to go for a long shot, but still, I think achievable if we work together. But of course, it's difficult to progress this when the rogue trader is still light years away, and there's no discussion on it. I worry that a great opportunity may pass by while the rogue trader is absent.
It was his Chamberlain, Traebly Frankus.
Chamberlain, that's it, yeah.
It would be difficult to be to actively pursue that while you aren't able to access him or his, the staff around him.
I mean, look, even if this opportunity passed by, I'm sure I could find a lesser candidate, but then I would feel like I'd failed. The Chamberlain said his mind to, as I said, a long shot, but I think that I just need to secure it.
Yeah, as long as you are continuing to do the best that you can, that's what we do. That's how we prove our devotion. You mentioned any personal things too. Is there anything that you want to accomplish for yourself here?
Well, as I said, I would dearly like to. This life is very different to what I experienced on Macaria, and I would love to continue living it. I would hope that it would not be incompatible with my own duties to the order. I guess time will tell what our lives become as we continue to be here.
Indeed. When I received those orders to come here, I could never have imagined any of the things that have happened since we've arrived. And even with the things that I've seen since coming here, and even today, I can't imagine what the next 6 months will even be like.
Did not have knowing the Imperial Governor on a first name basis on my card for today when I woke up this morning.
Temporary.
Okay, fine. Temporary Imperial Governor known by name.
Hey, from my morning, the number of administrative people I'm working with has just doubled.
Oh?
Well, planetary governor is part of the
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's true. Well, is there anything that I can do to help push along? I'm just trying to think of ways that I can use this position to help the trading house in a way that's appropriate.
I mean,
I don't know.
We should give some thought to how you could use those abilities to push along our other objectives.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of people looking for you to help them solve their problems as well. Good luck. And he'll clap him on the back.
Yeah, once the news gets out, I'm sure people will come looking.
You'll have to start many petitioners.
You'll have to hold audiences, your lordship.
I need to read up on this, make sure that I can do this faithfully.
Unfortunately, I left my copy of So You've Just Become Imperial Governor back on Materia.
I was just thinking, like, I would know where to look.
15-year training schedule, you know. Teach you everything you need to know.
The glories of economics.
I have to say, it was not what I was expecting out of that meeting. I felt confident about the material that I put together, the things that we discovered here, and I was pretty confident that the Lord Colonel would be removed one way or another, but I wasn't expecting to be the one to do it.
Well, perhaps encountering the unexpected is what makes this job so fun.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it sounds like as much as I'm making this sound difficult, and it is difficult, I am enjoying it. I would like to stay. I know that my orders are for a year, although I suppose I can extend my own orders now. I don't know. I would like to stay.
Look, just be aware, if you do crazy shit, whoever takes the role after you is going to reverse everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were given
every
planetary
4
governorship with a explicit idea of what you're supposed to do. Let's just be very clear about that.
Yeah. No, Rassie's trying to make sure that anything that comes up, he handles in a way that is appropriate and faithful. And he's not he keeps dropping the reminder, like, remember, it's temporary, because he's not losing himself in this responsibility. He's
good,
just
because you're not ready to be an imperial governor, and we're definitely not moving.
We're not ready for that kind of campaign.
Yeah.
Just thinking out aloud though about ways to solve our macro cannon ammunition issue. With the commander gone and the Imperial Guard still here, I wonder if there's unspent ammunition on some of the ships as part of the Space Hulk that could be recovered.
I did initially reach out to establish a connection with their quartermasters. Got us approved. The first step seemed to be getting approved for those auctions. I was hoping that was going to be our first step to being able to acquire recovered munitions that have been purified.
I mean, I'm not a military expert. Do macro munitions have a shelf life?
I mean,
yes.
I suppose it would depend on the nature of said munitions.
No, it's not going to depend on the nature. Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I can't speak to naval munitions. I'm a guardsman, not a voidsman, but even with our own, I mean, for tank shells, artillery shells, mortar shells, we need to use them before they're wasted. I imagine it must be similar for naval ships.
Perhaps your new office can expedite some of the ammunition supply problems we are currently facing.
I mean, the answer is unequivocally yes, but whatever I do, I want to make sure I do it in a way that doesn't harm other interests of the Imperium.
Certainly.
Sure. Again, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you did get this position by accusing someone of abusing their position of authority to acquire resources. So if the first thing you do is not execute that person, but immediately do the same thing they did, you're going to be in so much worse of a position than they are.
Yeah.
There are doors you can open with a even temporary planetary governorship, but if you abuse them, you will reap the consequences.
Yeah. I'm sure there are ways that I could start conversations in more favorable terms, but I don't. I'm not. I mean, I wasn't. I was appointed the Sector Lord's agent for dealing with the Lord Colonel. Anything that I do beyond that, in order to not go against anything else that I do beyond that would need to be truly necessary.
Certainly. I wouldn't want us to be padding the Lord Captain's pocketbooks, but making some progress towards some of our goals probably, well, at the very least, should be considered. At any rate, let us enjoy this evening, and on the morrow, we will deal with whatever tomorrow brings. And he asked for another drink and more pretzels.
Yeah, I didn't really know. I need to go and set fire to an Imperial institution tomorrow.
Oh, fire!
Proverbial.
Oh.
Oh, because the last time you talked about fire, I went and trolled around with a flamethrower. I'm not really. Sometimes I'm not sure when you're being literal or not.
Have you heard some of the things that comes out of her mouth? How hard would it be to blow? Actually, you were there for that conversation. You were on the other side of it.
Sure. But even if I might not entirely understand everything, even if I don't understand all of your intentions or whether it's literal or not, sister, I trust that if you ask me a question, like how to blow up a transport, it's for a good, faithful reason.
Yeah, trust in two things. One is that I'm faithful, and the other is I'm a pragmatist.
So what I'm hearing is there's going to be more fire in the future, and very soon.
Only if it's pragmatic.
Only if it's practical.
Slide those pretzels over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna motion to have more pretzels brought, a bowl for each of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna take one and put it in my mouth and take a second one and stick it in my carpet pocket.
I can guarantee that if I had a void ship, it would be called the Path of Least Resistance.
Somewhere out there, Ohm is very happy. 3 more wooden bowls filled with Pennsylvania pretzels are set in front of you. Are we fading here to something?
Yep.
What is a Pennsylvania? Anyway, does anybody know what that is?
Pennsylvanians love their fucking pretzels, motherfucker.
I was saying that in character. Nobody knows what Pennsylvania anything is anymore. in
Somewhere
40K.
on Terra, there's a motherfucker who's got every record of Pennsylvania that's ever existed.
Yeah, he works for the Adeptus Administratum.
Yes, one guy.
It was a kingdom in the ancient Americas.
It was a Commonwealth, of course. What is a Commonwealth? We don't know. We put it right next to the file on Brexit. I love how you asked me to have this extremely specific bartender character who you basically didn't converse with.
No. Hey. I said important things in front of him. And
he definitely heard a lot of important things in front of him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And now he's established. We can use him later. I'll get what's his name?
His name is Arthur.
It's Arthur now. Arthur the bartender.
Yeah. He's also he also runs a wargaming club for people who like to do recreations of famous battles. He uses only ultramarine models for his.
That's not a self-insert whatsoever, is it?
Yeah. Arthur's wargaming real.
Yeah, I mean, unless anybody else has anything else to say, I feel like we're kind of fading out of the bar scene.
Yeah.
Star Wipe.
Okay, you Star Wipe. When you are headed to work the next morning,
I did want to do something on the way back to, like, separate from the group on the way back.
Okay.
I want to pull aside or just sort of like motion to our servo skull.
Okay. The servo skull stops and follows you. It hovers ominously looking at you.
I would appreciate it if I could have a list of the Lord Colonel's most loyal, personally loyal members of his command.
It will be waiting for you in your domicile.
Thank you very much.
I would imagine you said that just outside your own door, and then when you open the door, the list is waiting.
It's already there. It's, like,
It's already there.
wow. I mean, I knew they were good,
It's in a
but they're
manila
good.
folder. It's in a manila folder with the label on the front, and somebody has handwritten, "So you've become the planetary governor."
When you wake up the next morning, you've spent all night going through a pretty lean file. Rassie, Lieutenant Rafal, who you've met and who arrested you, is his like hype execution man, it's like the minor officer who he gets to do all of his biddings. But he mostly relies on 2 commissars to execute the majority of his legitimate orders.
Is there somebody listed for handling his illegitimate ones?
Rafal. Lieutenant Rafal.
Okay. Now,
it should be noted, he has a lot of officers because, as you have noted, his unit, it is unusual for there to be thousands of people in an Imperial regiment. It's not like illegal to have a regiment this big. It's just unusual for it to be this big. And he has prevented anyone from rising above the rank of captain. So there aren't a lot of senior staff. He seems to rely on using commissars to get around how he executes orders. So that's Commissar Chase Drivets. Do you have that name, or do you need me to send it on Discord?
Commissar Chase Rivets.
Yep, and Commissar Yar Tare. That's an apostrophe E.
Are they Lord Commissars or Commissars?
They are just commissars.
Okay. Okay.
Again, his command is filled with a unusual lack of senior officers.
Yeah.
For the rest of you, you wake up in the morning and it's a normal morning, except maybe you're planning to proverbially or literally set organizations on fire.
Well, it depends how fast I can start getting my meetings. The first one I'm going to start with D'Angelo.
Okay. Are you bringing the whole team with you, or are you just going to your meeting alone?
No, just going to be meeting alone, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I am going to put together that paperwork updates.
Which paperwork?
For the paperwork for Barnum Hoveler, the stuff that Velamris is supposed status update for the investigation or what have you.
You don't need to do that. He's being handled.
But I think what he's going to do is he wants to put it together, and he's going to do it exactly the way he's supposed to do it.
Okay.
And somewhere along the way, he's going to draw a smiley face on it.
Okay.
If you're in a filing mood, you could also look at Paparonka's paperwork too.
Absolutely. Velamris will be happy to do that.
Velamris, so yeah, you go into the office and Holly's not there. You sit down and you begin a normal day.
Yeah, I will actually, in lieu of any other guidance, so he's actually been thinking about the POPs paperwork that needs to do the franchisee licenses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Me as a player, I thought we had mostly done that paperwork. The trading house had, but there was outside agencies we were waiting for.
So here's the thing: you have the paperwork for him to work for the rogue trader.
Okay.
You additionally offered to license or like franchise him out into Imperium territory.
Okay.
Because he lives and works outside of the Imperium. He's in the asteroid belt. I mean, technically you're all in the asteroid belt, but he's in one of the smaller rocks. He's not an Imperial citizen. Holly offered to franchise him out locally within CTA's Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta. So that paperwork does have to be done.
Okay.
This is about making money. So
got no problem with that. I mean, this guy's helping us out. We should help him out, and everybody gets rich.
No. We are angel investors, so we also benefit from the. When he wins, we win.
You have to understand that cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Exactly.
That's the second rap reference I made today, so I'm feeling pretty spicy. I'm gonna ask for a pretty simple administration paperwork role here. This is fully within your bailiwick. You're very good at doing it. You're submitting it to the administratum, so you'll get a +1 success level.
Yeah.
What
am I rolling here? Lore or logic or?
I think probably logic.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at this field, logic seems like the most likely.
I think evaluation, specialization.
I don't have any. I've only got a couple specializations, but
you don't have to have a specialization. So if you do have it, it makes it easier.
I'm gonna drop a fate point to make sure for advantage. So +1 SL advantage. Just a challenging difficulty.
Yeah.
All right. Three success.
+3 success. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to take a little while for this paperwork to get processed, but all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. You've got it on a fast track, and without Barnum and Hovler hovering over your shoulder, you know, honestly, you realize that if you wanted to, you could just submit this paperwork to Rassie to green light.
Yeah, I think I will. I'll make sure all the paperwork's put together. I'll staple it, triplicate, cover sheet it, and leave it on Rassie's desk with a sticky note that says, "At your convenience, your lordship."
Rassie,
VQ.
just to get around to it, where are you today? Are you in the office with Velamris doing normal things, or are you out on an individual mission of revenge and fire?
Rassie's trying to figure out how to get what Rassie wants to do. Rassie wants to put together a package to deliver to these two commissars that declare that the Lord Colonel and Lieutenant Rafal are traitors and they are to be executed.
Okay.
And he wants to step in and make some promotions to make sure that the regiments don't fall apart.
I am going to need you to make a logic evaluation roll to look over these lists of officers and determine how you're going to keep a understaffed regiment from falling apart when it's megalomaniacal, extremely, what's it called when one person holds an organization together?
Oligarch?
Well, I don't know that specifically applies, but sure. You understand what I'm saying, right, Kain? You need to look over these people and figure out who would be the right promotes.
Is linchpin the word you're looking for?
Yeah, linchpin's fine. That'll work. There's a more evil term that I would use. I just don't remember what it is.
Egalitarian?
I would like to, since he already said he's going to come look for me, I like the idea that Rassie is like put those drafts together and he's looking through these personnel lists when Velamris shows up with his packet.
Yeah.
You need something, Velamris?
Yes, if you could. This is for Papa Oinker's franchisee getting everything set up within Imperial territory. If you could review it at your leisure, Your Lordship.
Was it denied?
No, it's ready for your signature.
Oh,
You're the final approval authority, as I understand it.
Somewhere out there whispering in the back of your mind, you remember that you're about to execute a man for doing exactly what you're about to do.
No, he's not.
But in his role as the governor, this is part of his duties.
I don't agree that is true or untrue. It's just that if you do this before you do the thing you were given permission for.
So he like flips over a page and then flips it back and says, so if it wasn't denied, has it gone through the official process properly?
No.
Well, he's
Perhaps
asking Velamris.
yeah. I'm trying to figure. Well, it's with the GM giving me the answer that I would know.
Yeah. No, like I said, you could take it to him to like greenlight it immediately. It could go through normal channels, or Rassie could green stamp it, and it would be done immediately.
In lieu of everything, I thought it would be funny to put this on your desk to see how you would respond. But I think ultimately, any sort of fast tracking should be through official fast tracking. But if you want to take a look over it for me, just have an extra set of eyeballs on it, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll send it up to the administratum.
This isn't an emergency, so this should go through the proper channels. I'm sure you know how to do the
absolutely. I just wanted somebody else's, a different set of eyeballs on it since Liturgical's not here.
Well,
it's funny I mentioned eyeballs in the psyker, but I digress.
I mean, aside from bypassing the system, I'm not the administrator you are. I'm not sure what sort of proofing I could do for you on this.
Sure,
but
I can run it.
You are an administrator.
I am.
I could use your help with something.
Sure.
So I've got these dossiers here, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to do these promotions, and I'm having difficulty parsing through all this information.
Who's the senior guy after the Lord Colonel?
Well, see, that's part of the problem. He kept his organization very flat to make sure that there was basically no autonomy. So I need to do a couple of promotions in order to make sure that there is a proper structure and that the regiment doesn't fall apart.
It is the military, a top-down led structure. Would it not be a terrible idea to put 2 or 3, what's beneath the Lord Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, put 2 or 3 in charge as a committee until the guards, the Astra Militarum can actually get an official Lord Colonel out here? Is that out of line? Is that unthinkable?
I can make a Lord Colonel. My concern isn't that. My concern is making sure that, because he made sure that there was no promotions in his officers. But without him there, I need to at least enact a couple of promotions to provide the structure to fill the hole that's about to be made.
You need some insight as to which of these individuals might be the more ideal.
I need help going through these dossiers to figure out the right people to promote.
I will grab easily 2/3 of that stack without even looking at it and just wander off to my desk and start reading.
Okay. I mean, so 2 names that come pretty high on the chain of command, like should Lord Colonel Renard die, right? Technically, command should pass to Captain Ovarx Rarn of the Rough Riders. So they ride giant flying cats, and it's his personal company. So his company commander, of course, should probably take over. But all the reports you see of Ovarx Rarn are all like, does sufficient.
Mediocre. He's a .124 guy.
Yeah. It's
he is adequate.
you understand what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
There is someone who seems to be a good officer, but also has like a lot of negatives on them. So Captain Octa Rain of the Cadian Shock Troopers, her shock troopers are under strength. It's way less than a full company for sure. Her record is pretty good, but her company's record is far from spotless. The shock troopers are constantly getting in fights with other members of the regiment. They people are dunking on Cadians for having their planet blow up, and the Cadians get physically violent with them constantly. Like, inter-unit fights are quite bad. It reflects very poorly on Captain Rain, and her record indicates she does everything she's supposed to solve these problems, but they just keep happening despite, frankly, draconian imperial military justice and the intervention of the Commissar Corps. So,
are there any other names?
If there are other people, but I will require you to roll to get a sort of Abraham Lincolnian dark horse candidate, the one true king to rise above them all.
What would you like me to roll there, Mr.
Logic
Tolkien?
evaluation, sir. Logic evaluation. And I'm going to ask you to do this at a -10 because this isn't something you normally do, reviewing Imperial military personnel or taking over colonial command. Colonial command? Regimental command.
I don't have any advances in logic, so I'm of no help to you.
Yep, that's fine.
But it would be super helpful if you succeeded this roll.
I know. I'll roll with advantage and use my last fate point.
Oh, last fate point, he
Oh,
says.
jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
that didn't help.
I mean, you're going over it. You're going down the tubes, and you're like, Captain Ovark's Rarn is literally the only. Like, I just can't see myself getting around the chain of command. And even though he's the human equivalent of tapioca pudding, I don't really have a way to promote someone around him. You know, he's going to be an empty chair for sure. But
in that case, I do have a recommendation, and whenever Rassie is ready, Velamris will come with those dossiers, and he will say, when you're ready, your lordship, I have a thought you may like to hear.
Okay. What did you find?
I set all of the dossiers back, and I grabbed the two on top. Number one is the one that, as I understand military laws, traditions, customs, etc., the first pick should be this Ovark Shrarn. His record is not exactly colorful. Well, I'm trying to. His record is not exactly very interesting in any way, shape, or form. Very dull reading, one would argue. The second person I had in mind, somewhat more junior, Octa Rain. From everything I could see, personally, her personal record, her personal experiences in the Guard have been exemplary, or at the very least, doing everything she's supposed to do, not just written law, but also what one would expect of another, the unwritten rules, as it were. However, her command has a disciplinary history, or a history of disciplinary problems. She may not be a good first choice. What I would recommend, make Rarn your mediocre guy, your new Lord Colonel, but put Rain as a very close executive or XO second, and rely on them both to accomplish that unit's tasks.
of course, intentionally undercut each other. That's how you get stuff done quickly. Yeah.
My thought being, of course, that if Rain is not what we think, she can be removed without too much direct impact on the unit. If she is as good as we think she can be, it's only a matter of time before Mr. Mediocre finds a way to get himself removed.
I will consider your recommendations. Thank you for looking through those. And I'll hand you back the Papa Oinker's pamphlet.
Ah, yes, Papa Oinks. I'll just sit this over on my desk for fill out later. Well, I've already filled it out, but you know what I mean. Attend to later. Anything else, your lordship? Coffee, Void Crisp. Oh, I need to get some Void Crisp. What were those oranges that Liturgical liked? I should probably go get some of those too.
Naraji fruit.
Yes, that's Uraji fruit. Maybe I'll go see if I can check in on him later today, see how he's doing. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to see me, of course. See, you get it? Okay, that was a bad one.
It would be helpful if you could check in on him.
Certainly. I'll go gather up some goodies and see if I can go see him.
If I spend like another couple hours on it, can I make my own logic test? It's a 24.
Let me ask. Such a test would indicate that you don't trust Velamris, right? You asked him for a recommendation. He gave it to you comprehensively. Making such a test would show that you inherently don't trust his judgment, correct?
I think in this case, his recommendation of like putting the two of them together to have that clash going didn't make sense to me as a guardsman.
Okay.
So it's one of those like, I'm sure he read through a bunch of stuff, but there's a nuance to leadership in the guard that's different than leadership in the administratum.
Look, it's perfectly okay for you to say that Velamris, the man who you almost thought you needed to kill, is someone that you might not inherently trust, but you make sense. Let's make the roll.
Well, there's also the fact that I have never, not once, worn combat boots.
Yeah. He's like, maybe he might find something cool in the paperwork. Okay.
Wow. Amazing. We both got a -3 on that. But you can still re-roll it. I think you still have fate points, don't you?
I'm gonna go for the reroll.
This is okay. This is what you feel is worth.
This is a big deal.
Damn. Slightly better.
Okay. I mean, there's no two ways around it. His plan is genius. Okay. Did we take a break? Or did we blow right through the second break?
I think we went right through it.
Okay, let's take the second break, and then we're going to finish up with Holly and then talking about goals. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. I was so confused. I was like, did we take the break? It feels like we did, but the timer says we didn't. All right.
No.
Just know, audience, that more than one person made a reference to me and milkshakes and yards in the chat, which shows how crass and base our humor is. Fortunately, we have Grimdark James here to elevate us to a new level of rational discourse. James, what totally logical and well thought out plan would you like to execute?
So I was going for a meeting with the Crusader, with D'Angelo.
D'Angelo. Yeah. After about an hour and a half's wait, way past your appointed meeting time, you are finally shown into his office. The walls here are covered with swords and other weapons of the ecclesiarchy, things that you would expect a crusader to have. And the wall directly behind D'Angelo includes a lot of photos with him and local business owners, him and members of the administratum, him and Lord Colonel Renaud. Just a lot of photos of him smiling and shaking hands with people. You also see that he's got one framed, like, news picked capture of, like, him receiving an award as, like, Imperial Citizen of the Year 20 years ago. Like, on his arrival, it was a really big deal when he was assigned to be the Crusader for this particular outpost, and, like, he arrived to a big fanfare, and everyone was like, Citizen of the Year! And then, like, there's no other picked captures of other news stories. He sits down behind his desk and smiles at you darkly. This says, Sister Holly, it's great to see you again. Just know we can't discuss anything of revolving around the Blue Ribbon Commission here today. We have to wait for the commission to form and investigate both of us for purity of thought.
I came to apologize for my outburst yesterday. I bought a gift as well, a book of my favorite divine catechisms. And I have like a book of catechisms.
Of course. He, motions for you to put it on his desk so you can take a look at it and says, I understand. I, too, am filled with a passion and zest for life and also for executing our holy mission. Honestly, I feel like you would make a great crusader. I checked your file. They have severely underestimated your passion, your zeal, and your skill set, to be honest. Have you ever considered making a lateral transition in the church?
I've looked at many opportunities within the church, and certainly with the recent removal of the decree passive, more things
I heard
are now,
about that. That's a big deal.
It is. That is the church readying the Imperium for what is to come, I believe. What we need to ready for. But did you hear much about what happened at the Holy Synod where it was declared?
I definitely have, but just for the game master's sake and for the audience's sake, why don't you tell me what you think happened?
Well, because there was the synod itself was almost destroyed in an attempt to assassinate the ecclesiarch.
Of course.
Yes, because he's only saved by the actions of the Inquisition and the living saint. And from what I heard, it appears that it was a faction within the ecclesiarchy itself that attempted to assassinate the ecclesiarch.
Shocking.
Indeed. And given the synod where it happened and the actual convocation around the decree passive, part of me fears that there are agencies within the ecclesiarch that would rather not see our people engage in a war of faith, that they would neuter the church and its warriors once again. And that fills me with a dread I find hard to explain.
Angelo gives you a strange look while picking up your book of catechisms. Is there anything ironic or poignant about this book? Like you've marked a specific page that has a quote that you're about to enact, like stab your boss in the back or something?
No, I mean,
embrace me like a good Christian. You're a good Christian.
It's a classic, book of all the reasons why you should, who you should hate and why you should hate them and how that hatred should turn you to.
Just making sure. Yeah, he flips through it. It's nothing he hasn't seen before.
Yeah.
He looks at you and he says, there may very well be forces attempting to keep us passive. But know that we must be vigilant against those who would push us too hard to act. You are from Macarius, are you not? It recently suffered at the hands of a very active and vigorous traitor who burned the world because they would not follow him on his false crusade.
Mm.
The scars, I understand, are still seen all across the planet.
As I said, I was there when Macaria burned. I was still young, but it left its mark. But the church's teachings have given me much, and I don't know. I try to look for I look towards the future by learning the lessons of the past, and I guess the other heresy that I well remember, especially because it ties to my order, was the age of apostasy, a time when one arch heretic tried to turn the ecclesiarchy into the administratum, tried to merge those bodies, and created a new age of darkness that we barely survived as a species.
He tosses a pen in his hand on the table and swivels his swivel chair sideways, and you are prepared to enter into receiving a speech, maybe even a sermon, as he says, I agree with you. There's not a lot we can do to stop the Lord Commander of the Imperium, but I fear Rabuku Liman is not as loyal and faithful to our creed as he could be. I see this Logos Historica Verita that he's set up, and I worry that his historiticians may undo the holy work that we have spent 10,000 years doing since the age of apostasy. It is a grand mission, what we have done and what we will continue to do, and you're right. Only the lessons of the past can inform our future. All of the good things that have ever happened to humanity have already happened, and we should take all of the lessons from people who are already dead and carry them forward. New knowledge is bad. I don't want to say that Rabu Guliman is a heretic. I'm just saying someone should really be investigating this Logos Historica Verita. I don't like it. I don't like that it tries to uncover the true truth or tries to assemble chronological order to a series of events which happen at different space times. It's all nonsense to me. The church has told us everything we need. He swivels back and looks at you and says, surely you agree with me.
No, I do. And and this is why I raised the concern, because there's too much evidence that this thinking is already infiltrating the church. So the attempt to assassinate the ecclesiarch, the attempt to once again rein our order in to a mechanism of paperwork, and the emperor gave us holy hatred, and now we chain it. And I fear, and I hope that I know that we will persevere, but I know that it will be a difficult road ahead.
James, before you make your roll to incite zeal on this man, and as you would call it, manage up, the stakes are, if you fail,
yep,
I think he'll understand that you're blaming him. And if you critically, if you fail, he simply won't understand your meaning. If you critically fail, he'll understand you're trying to associate him with what you just said.
I'm targeting Evandria.
Yes, you're targeting the person who started it all, but the three of them, to be clear, are all kind of in on this era of bureaucracy. I mean, that's the sake. On critical failure, he'll take this personally.
Okay. So what do you think this is?
On success, you might light a fire under the ass of the Crusader.
Yeah.
You pitch to me what you think this test is. I think you've got a couple of different options here.
I don't know that I can swing. Well, okay. So first off, am I sucking up? Do you think that does Lick's bit apply here?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So look, I'd be happy with. I don't think I can pull leadership because I am sucking up. So leadership's not going to apply. So I feel this would probably be either a presence or a rapport. And I think
I would also take intuition people or intuition ecclesiarch.
Okay. Intuition people. I can. So I'll tell you what. I will do intuition people.
Okay.
So I do have advantage because of Lickspittle.
I should have analyzed that beforehand, but you took the talent and it makes sense here, so I guess I walked myself into this one.
All right. I will use my faithful Imperial cult to add my willpower bonus to the degrees of success here.
Okay.
So it'll be with advantage and 5 SL because 3 for my willpower, +1 for Ecclesiarchy, +1 for having influence with him.
You can't see it, audience. I'm shaking my head.
It's amazing.
Just need to not roll a 99. Oh my god!
He almost did.
You rolled a 95. Oh boy! All right. Well, that 95 became a 59, and with your bonus, it's incredible because a 59 could it possibly pass? How did that become a +5?
It should be, I think, because it would normally be a -1.
You can't expand it for the math.
I put in the +4. Well, it says, okay, now here it says user entry +6 SL, but I put +5 SL. So it should only be +4.
Okay. All right. So you just had a bunch of bonus modifiers for knowing this guy and being an ecclesiarchy member and all that bullshit.
Yeah,
and push it over the top. Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize that you're trying to manage him, and you begin stoking something that he hasn't ever felt in himself throughout the years. I mean, this is a man who is a crusader who was assigned to a back-end post in the middle of nowhere that hasn't crusaded in over 500 years.
Yeah.
And now you're like, yeah, but we don't need the paperwork. We need to go out there and do things. And he's like, you know what? I don't think we need the paperwork. We need to get out there and do things. You know what I mean, Holly? You know what I mean? This is my idea.
Fantastic.
All right, let me put a asterisk next to D'Angelo's name.
All right.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly dismiss you, but he swivels. He's looking through the book of catechisms. You can hear him muttering to himself about the Blue Ribbon Commission. He's like, you know, now that I think about it, do we really need a Blue Ribbon Commission to investigate the committee? Does that really serve a purpose? We all know that we're good. We know that we're the church. None of us are traitors. And if we were, we would just put a stop to the plan as soon as we find out. We don't need an extra commission. And you know what? What about the document review? We don't let the administratum review its own documents. We'll submit what we submit, and they'll pass the checklist up the ladder as it is. Yeah, hold on. Let me get a sermon together. he's talking to himself, and he's like, the strength of our arms is backed only by the fire of our faith. Yeah, this book's pretty good. Where'd I get it from anyway? Again, just talking to himself and making notes on a pad of paper.
You're clearly very busy.
Yes, of course. Please feel free to dismiss yourself.
I get up and leave. All right, one down, two to go.
Let's talk experience. Rassie, you've managed to complete another short-term goal to some extent, I think.
I think so.
I might hold that off until you actually... Well, no, it's prepare and survive the 5-minute meeting. Yeah, I solidly think you could get your 50 XP for that.
I think I made a decision on the orders.
Do you want to tell me now, or do you want to tell me at the beginning of the next session?
Next week.
I surprised you this session. Do you want to surprise me next time?
Tell AP after that we stop recording, so it's only the audience that miss out. Or tell AP on a separate recording we'll put on Patreon exclusive.
I could just take my headset off. You could tell the audience, and I wouldn't know until next week because I don't review these videos.
Well, I was just thinking,
what combination do you want to go with? Do you want everyone to know, no one to know, one of these two groups to know? It's all on you, man. You're the game master now.
I'll do it at the beginning of next session.
Okay.
Suspense for everybody.
I've got my note.
He's got the notes.
The temporary Lord Governor has his orders put together.
Time to execute those orders.
Patreon and find out.
So, short-term goals get you 50 experience points on the spot.
Okay.
I think we need to talk about everybody's short and long-term goals as well. Velamris, your short-term goal is hilariously difficult to achieve.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's funny because at some point the rogue trader should theoretically come back, and then that goal will be extremely easy to execute.
Yeah. Well, that, and he had a meeting with the patron to tell
That
him
was
like,
before. That was before
Yeah.
your short-term goals came into play.
well, I had put that in there during our like session 0 or whatever, and then
Yeah, that doesn't
in
count.
the prologue episode,
You
I
don't. You
it
don't
was
earn
there.
XP during session 0.
No, I know. So I'll have to come up with something else.
If you want to keep it, you can. If you want to change it, you can also do that.
Well, the other side of that too is just that in that first meeting, as soon as he realized that this was the Lord Captain he was talking to while being offered cucumber sandwiches, he did tell him that, yeah, they sent me here to spy on you. And he basically was like, go right ahead. Tell me what you find. So that was the purpose of that meeting. So
I like how you're like everything the Rogue Traders does so far as above board. When you literally help launch a chaos-fueled dark ritual to communicate across space and time minutes beforehand.
Okay, everything up until that point, but it seems to be sanctioned by not just the Rogue Trader, but by the sector governor. And if the sector governor can do it, then it must be legit.
I mean, what a Primaris Marine librarian needs to do to maintain the ritual is quite different from liturgical, a above average psyker.
But yeah, so I will be changing his short-term goal. And then the long-term goal, I'm thinking about changing only because
if you want your long-term goal to be
up.
relevant, you need to start including your mother as part of the story.
Yes, yeah. And so I think I'm going to have to do something, obviously.
You could do some like Dido from Eminem shit where you're just like, hey, Mom, just checking in real quick. Stop some heresy the other day. Encountered the Dark Mechanicus, completely dropped that plot thread.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to start incorporating that in some of his. Well, I feel like we've probably got some downtime coming soon, so maybe that'll be something that he'll get after.
I mean, Rassie's got a few things on the docket to try to push out pretty early, so we might not have a time skip yet.
I want to offer you 50 XP as well. I don't know what your short-term and long-term goal are. I do know that you did plan to meet with D'Angelo and convince him of the theory of your cause, and you did so successfully, so I want to offer you that XP.
I plan to actually meet with all three of them and give them, like, stoke their fire in 3 different directions so they come into conflict with each other.
It's like, don't worry, I'm still on the plane to burn the station down.
Then, rather than take that 50 XP, would you say that plan is your long-term goal?
No, my long-term goal, because I mean, long-term goals I think are like, you know, like season level sort of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So my long-term, Holly's long-term goal is to get permanently employed by the Rogue Trader. Like,
You're
I
on
could
a
turn this
good
into a
path.
permanent gig.
You know, it's a good start.
And everything she's doing is towards that. But short-term right now, like, the thing is, like, she really wants this to go through, even though she's got the backup path of just paying the money to the Navy. She really wants this to go through, especially now she's been emboldened by the couple of scribes. But she's going to have to, you know, start a lot of fires to do it her way now.
What's the
So yeah,
timeline?
so the short-term goal basically is to bring in the skip the whole administration side of things.
So if a long-term goal is something a season or longer in completion, what kind of time frame are we looking for short-term?
It says 2 to 3 sessions for a short-term goal.
Okay. I'll have to come up with
You'll
something
all
there.
also get 50 XP for completing this session. And I'm going to say that each of you completed something like a successful mission, so I'm going to offer you payment grade in solar. So 5 times your payment grade, which I believe is 100.
I think it's 100.
Yeah, 100.
So 500 again. And that's not even including your regular salary, your daily salary, which didn't advance at all because it's only been 24 hours.
It's been an eventful 24
Yeah,
hours.
we'll talk about your regular payment when, you know, like when weeks or months pass. But I want to
you know the ad I sent you through that you used last time, Arthur?
Yes, I do remember that.
So definitely, and this is something I was saying to Famer, was that like I'm sure that like in the visuals of that ad, like Holly got like cosplay level Sister of Battle armor made, because she's far as she's said most people only know the Sisters as the Sisters of Battle. So she's so she got like Warbler or whatever it's called, like armor
Fleur de
together.
Lis, armor.
Exactly, just to like fit the motif. Even though
Yeah,
it's not
of course. There's a lot
thing.
of uncomfortable cupping going around. Yeah. I want to say, if you had chosen the other path today and decided to retcon things, I was just going to have Order of Kronos Inquisitor show up and be like, this isn't canon. Let me roll this back real quick. I love the Order of Kronos. And I especially love this beef between the Logos Historical Verita and the Order of Kronos, where like the Inquisition is like, reboot, man. Cool it, dude. Cool it. We've got it handled. And he's like, yeah, okay, chill. I've got it handled.
Well, apparently the Order Kronos has been doing some hefty work in the last week of Warhammer anyway, so if you've been following any of the news...
Wow. I heard it was the Order Logos. I cannot believe people are so mad that giant people in golden armor could also be women.
I mean,
it's so weird. I think it's weird that they announce it. Pano said something pretty similar to my thought pattern, which is it's weird that they announce it and they didn't immediately announce models to be released as well. It just feels like it could have been handled better. It's just weird as like a casual throwaway thing.
The weird thing was, it was literally 2 paragraphs of text in a sidebar in a book of fluff,
Yeah.
And then people, but what made it weird was the fact people went on their social media and said like, hey, what's going on? And they gave this very sort of like, ever since, in the 10,000 years since the first warriors were formed, there's always been female custodes. And a lot of people are taking exception to that response and then getting banned from their account on Twitter for acting up about it. But look, at the end of the day, I just find it funny the amount of like videos people are saying, oh, Henry Cavill's pulling out because they screwed his army, or saying it's because Amazon had pushed them to make it more woke friendly before they'll make their TV show. And it's like, no one knows what's going on. People are speculating, whatever. It's just like, whatever.
Listen, I have to tell you,
yeah,
I have slightly more faith in the universe after watching Fallout this week. I binged the fuck out of it. I'm genuinely surprised at how good it was. And after The Witcher kerfuffle, I needed this. I needed a video game series adaptation and not suck. And
I've heard a few good things. I was going to watch it. I haven't got around to it yet, but
it's really good. It's good on its own. If you didn't know Fallout, it probably would be pretty good. And if you do know Fallout, it does mess with the canon a little bit, and I guess if that's what sets you off, go fuck yourself, I guess. Overall, it's pretty faithful, and it's good. It's surprisingly good. You can genuinely see when someone has failed a skill check in an encounter, for sure. Every time Maximus is on screen, just assume he's about to fail a skill check.
Going back a step, sorry. So if anyone that wants my opinions on this whole thing, look up Sword and Steel on YouTube. Naomi, it's from Sword and Steel. She basically gives a video about it, which really fits with my thing, which is who cares if they have female custodes? Yeah, it's a bit shitty the way they did it by trying to say, but it's always been this way. But it's not a reason to quit the game. And to GW, there are lots of really interesting female characters they've already created this thing that we'd love to see them do more with, rather than shoehorning in something for the sake of just saying, yep, ticks a box of this is also female too.
Absolutely.
Unless there was like a model and a story to go with it, But
yeah, we need 5 more Inquisitor Greyfaxes. We just need tsundere lesbians all the way down the line. That's what the audience wants. That's what we need. That's what we live for.
Have you seen the comic strip of like the thirsty lesbian commissar in the Skull of Virginia?
I'm afraid to Google this now, James. I don't deny that what you're saying might be true, but I'm worried that if I Google it, I'm going to end up on a list and I'm going to get some weird stuff.
No. It's not safe for work stuff. It's just a series of funny comic strips of like a commissar in training lusting after the Sisters of Battle that she's training alongside as such, and it's all just, there's not even dialogue. it's just all sort of facial expressions, that sort of stuff. So that's where, like, that's why I thought I'd throw in the joke that Holly dated the commissar during Skull and Virginium.
I just thought I may have seen this media, but just the thought of Holly having had dated a commissar in training, it was just an amusing thought to me when you said that.
The other thing is that if you hadn't failed your skill check today, I was going to tell you about a special rank called Colonel Commissar, of which there is currently only one in the Warhammer 40K universe, which is where someone's like, fuck it, no one in this regiment's good enough to run it, just promote the fucking commissar.
I actually thought about saying something about that too. It was like, well, there's a couple of commissars that, at least until the Imperial Guard chain of command in and of itself can put someone out there, put the fucking commissar in charge and let him run shit.
Yeah, you're not really supposed to do that. Only one person's ever been promoted to that rank at any one time, but I was willing to let it fly because it's funny. And in Warhammer 40K, they're like, there's only one of these things, except secretly there's a whole society of them.
You know how in Blood Bowl I refer to the fact that Wilhelm's a reverend doctor?
Yes.
Yeah, that comes from the fact that in Australia there's a level of qualification required to call yourself a doctor, and there's a level of qualification required to call yourself a reverend. But there is a title called Reverend Doctor that has no formal qualification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, we have the same thing here in America. Yeah. Martin Luther King spinning in his grave right now. Anything else we want to cover before we wrap this episode up? This truly insane episode that started with me waving my phone at a camera.
I have to say, sometimes, whether it's to the benefit or the detriment of the players, you will occasionally do a thing that is just like so far unexpected, and that was the temporary Lord Governorship.
Yeah, I did
so
not see that
completely and utterly unexpected. I'm like, wow, I don't even have a clue right now. Like,
I mean, how else is he going to execute his will via phone call? You know what I mean?
I fully expected him to task us with actually delivering the outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, like that.
I was surprised. I was surprised by the appointment, but like the moment I heard it, I'm like, okay, how can we use this? How can we use and abuse this posting?
Yeah, like for sure, I saw like, you succeeded. I agree. Go do it. Under my authority, like that I saw, but I didn't see the appointment.
Because the problem wasn't that the general abused his authority; it was he got caught. So if you can do the same without getting caught, then
I absolutely love that. Despite warning you twice not to immediately abuse your authority for corruption, immediately you guys are like, how
Velamris is like, hey,
abuse this? I guess as long as you don't get caught.
Hey, it's not illegal until you get caught with it.
That's how you end up. Whatever happens to Renard, that's how you end up like that.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's all about knowing how far to push the envelope before the envelope pushes you.
Okay, Mr. Military.
Clearly, he went outside the line.
I also did not
really burning a hole in your pocket, pulling out those. I have an inquisitorial pardon.
That's what it's there for. And listen, I'm going to
be 100% honest with you. Inquisitorial pardon will not save you from a sector lord. It'll save you from an inquisitor, which is not the same thing.
No, but Kain and I both come from a background of if we don't use it, we don't get as much funding next time.
Oh my God.
Budget justification.
U.S. federal government. All right. Okay.
I mean,
you can't have any socks, and then 1 week before funding time, everyone gets 3 extra pairs of socks.
And I come from a background of selling to people that have that rule. So,
yeah, it's
no wonder we get along so well.
Yeah, towards the end of the fiscal year, we become best friends, and the negotiations are incredibly easy.
God, why do you think we were in the field every August shooting up a whole bunch of rounds just to shoot up a whole bunch of rounds?
Somewhere out there's 2 British guys changing the barrels on a machine gun, going, how many more rounds can we put through this thing?
Oh, I was talking about artillery rounds, but
Oh,
that works
well,
too.
yeah, I assume changing the barrels on those things is also pretty big deal.
No, we do. It's called equivalent full charge. So for the amount of charge used times the number of rounds fired, that gives you your tube life,
Okay.
and it's a really high number of rounds. Ultimately,
I would hope so.
Just not all at once.
no. I mean, even if you shot like sustained
You know what they
rate of
say?
fire,
You could get 9 women pregnant, but you can't fire 9,000 rounds at once from one barrel.
I also have to say I was not expecting my long-term goal to feel like it was this in reach for another like
couple
10
of months.
episodes.
I mean, but is it in reach? Is it really in reach? Your regiment consists of 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as temporary planetary governor, you could authorize transfers to the regiment, but that doesn't give you their equipment or their training.
I mean, I could also get the equipment.
You can get the equipment.
The
you
training's
don't
the
have
problem.
people. You definitely don't have people trained in it, and I will point out that all Elysian drop troopers come from Elysia.
Yeah.
You can't just dragoon the people of this station. I mean, again, you can. You just won't be an Elysian drop troop regiment anymore. You'll just be an Imperial Guard regiment.
Yeah.
But you'll be a new Imperial Guard regiment, able to set their own history and traditions.
But you won't be the 143rd Elysian.
No,
Yeah.
you won't.
I will agree that, again, you could use your powers to hyper accelerate your long-term goal, but don't think that there's some sort of mystical shortcut here where you're like, well, I've restored the 143rd.
Give me my XP.
Yeah. Wait, I'm just making the observation. It went
Yes,
from
yes.
I picked a
Your
that
goal
will
is a
keep
lot
me-
easier with the powers you have right now.
Yeah. Where previously
Ironic,
it was basically
ironic
undoable.
that you got this guy fired because he stole your equipment and destroyed your regiment. So your first thought is to destroy his regiment and take his equipment from
Hey, fair's fair, man.
equipment back.
Fair's fair. When we were kids, that was a totally legit move to make.
Every step you guys take on this path has me so worried. Giving you this temporary
Quid
power
pro
is
quo.
going to be disastrous.
Yeah, I've already turned down one abuse of power.
I'm so thankful for that. I'm like, please, God, do not disappoint me.
If it's any comfort, Rassie takes this responsibility extremely seriously.
Gravely serious. It's like when someone made me moderator of a voice channel on Pigeon one time, and I was like, therefore, I will do my job correctly. And they were like, oh, I expected you to troll people for 10 hours. And I was like, no, I took it seriously. And they're like, well, now I'm taking the power away from you. I thought you were just going to ban people left and right. That is it for this episode 9. I think we're going to call this one BREVET to represent your new temporary rise in rank.
As well as a brevet colonel that's about to get promoted.
I mean, whoever you promote will not be a brevet colonel. They'll be a real colonel. They'll be a full bird, as they call it. Because you'll be showing Lord Colonel Renard 2 full birds. Are we good for next week?
I am.
Yes.
I believe so.
All right. For those watching live, just know tomorrow night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern will be the charity event for the Stars Without Numbers Make-A-Wish International. If you can't make it live, you can donate ahead of time following the donation commands and help get some unlocks done early. That's all I have to add. We'll see you again next week, question mark.
Yeah,
Or a month and a half.
I'm good for 2 weeks before I had the week off. That's it.
Okay. All right. We'll figure it out. We always do.
That's what we do.
Have a good time zone, everyone.